Hey YouTube, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So as y'all can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about how to outsmart a manipulator, okay? And for me personally, the best way I've been able to do this is by being silent, because my silence cannot be manipulated. So the first way to outsmart your manipulator is to stop telling them your business, stop telling them the things that you've been through, and to stop giving them the blueprint on the type of person that you want them to be. Because when you do all three of those things, they will put on a mask to literally pretend and mirror the person that you want them to be. And in psychology, they call this love bombing. So for example, have you ever been in a relationship where that person was great in the beginning? They were doing all of the things that you could have ever wanted out of somebody, right? But by month 6, they turned out to be a whole completely different person. That's because they put on a mask to literally manipulate you to get whatever they felt was a benefit from you. And honestly, it doesn't matter how much justifying or reasoning or communication that you give this person, they will never be able to go back to that person that they were in the beginning, because they didn't naturally have the 100% capacity to be that person that they were at the beginning. They were putting on a front. And another random example I can think of is, like, you ever see those stories on TikTok where a lot of women are saying that they were being used by people who were so-called men in the church or whatever? That's because men know that a lot of women want a God-fearing man. So yes, that man will start going to church. Yes, he will pray with you. Yes, he'll sing gospel songs. Yes, he'll read scriptures out of the Bible, and literally he will just say, yeah, I'm a God-fearing man. But it's like, does his actions and his character actually reflect that though? That's the type of stuff that we have to start paying attention to, because even if you do give people the blueprint on what you want, because I mean, some people do, I don't recommend it, but even if you do give people the blueprint, you need to actually watch their behaviors, because some people will be able to pretend for years. And another example I can think of is like when guys pretend to be friends with girls, that way they can just wait for a time where she's vulnerable so they can sleep with her, or they can use her in some type of way. People will literally pretend up for years, and there's so many documentaries, so many stories online, especially true crime stories, that literally prove these points correct. And it's the same thing with telling people your business and telling people the things that you've been through. When people know the things that you've been through, they will use those vulnerabilities against you. Like if somebody knows that you've been cheated on and you haven't been treated the best in the past, if they're a toxic and manipulative person, they will literally use that vulnerability against you to poke at that wound of you feeling insecure. And then when they start moving shady and moving weird and doing things that kind of signal that they might be cheating on you too, then all of a sudden when you bring it up, you're doing too much and you're overthinking and you're always in your head and you're always jumping to conclusions. But in reality, they thrive off of making you feel insecure because they know that you've been through it in the past. Same thing with telling people what you're currently going through. If people know that you're sad and you're depressed and you're not really having a good time mentally, if they're a toxic and manipulative person and they love drama, they love chaos, they will always find a way to keep bringing it into your life. And it's not always in a grand or big way. Sometimes it's literally in a small way. Girl, did you hear about this? Oh, they said this about this person, or just whatever the case may be. People will literally find a reason and a way to manipulate you in some type of way, to use you in whatever way they find beneficial. And not only that, some people will literally mirror your interest towards you. That way they can help familiarize themselves with you. That way you feel seen, heard, and understood, right? Say for example, like you like a certain type of music. All of a sudden they like that certain type of music as well. Say you like eating pineapple on pizza. All of a sudden they like eating pineapple on pizza. Even down to the things that you've been through in your life. Say for example, you went through a traumatic accident and it made you have PTSD or whatever. These people will literally say, hey, I went through an accident too and it did give me PTSD and now it affects my life in XYZ way. They start giving all these extra details. That's how you know somebody lying, for one. But toxic people will literally mirror anything you tell them just so they can feel close to you and manipulate you. And me personally, what I like to do is to give out a fake trigger or give out a fake trauma story or even give out a fake interest just to see if they're going to mirror that back to me, because if they do, that literally exposes and shows the type of person that I'm dealing with, because that was a lie. I literally told you a lie and you just lied to me back and didn't even know it. That's literally how you expose somebody, and you didn't even have to do anything. You didn't have to do too much. But just be careful about who you're telling your business to, who you're telling your trauma, and who you're giving the blueprint, which you shouldn't be giving the blueprint to anybody. When people ask you, hey, what are you looking for in somebody? You tell them that you're looking for somebody to be 100% authentically themselves. Because when you let people show you who they are, you don't have to put in any work. And you don't have to traumatize yourself trying to find out who they are and flip over backwards and overplay your part. Let people show you who they are, and then you move accordingly. The second way your silence can help you outsmart a manipulator is because people like to go on smear campaigns, especially toxic and narcissistic people. Is when people go and try to turn everybody against you by spreading gossip, spreading lies, spreading fake news, news, fake drama about you to get people to feel some type of way about you, to turn on you, or whatever their goal may be. And the reason these toxic people even do smear campaigns is because they're not able to manipulate you, or you did something that they don't like, or whatever their reasoning is, because there's never actually a valid reason for them to do this. But when you decide to use silence and you stop telling them your plans, you stop telling them what you're going through, you stop doing all of the things that feed them drama so they can twist it and lie, they're not able to keep these smear campaigns running. Because if you're literally being silent, you don't say anything to them, you ignore them, and you act like they don't exist, you don't feed into the negativity, you don't feed into the drama, you don't try to defend yourself, whatever the case may be, eventually these people are going to look crazy, because you're doing all of this lying and all of this slander and creating all of this chaos and drama around a person who isn't even giving you attention, around a person who isn't even participating in the drama. They're not even defending themselves. So it's like, why are you going on this smear campaign when this person is giving you nothing? For example, it's basically like when a person comes to you talking about another person and you're under the impression that they actually don't like that person, and then you get comfortable with them saying, oh, I can't believe they did that to you. You start sympathizing with them, you try to give them advice, you try to console them, being like, yeah girl, that was wrong, you didn't deserve that. Whole time they're trying to gather information and anything that you say, that way they can go back and tell that person that you were talking mess about them. That way they can go back and tell this person, hey, this person said this about you, and then they started drama with a person that you don't even know. It's the same thing with the he say she say drama. It's basically like that. So you want to use silence because manipulators will literally take anything that you say or do and use it against you in the court of law. Basically, it's the same thing. And people who want to smear your name anyway are haters to begin with, because it's like they have nothing else to do. They see you as somebody important enough to try to tear down, and that's literally their way of doing it, by trying to get everybody to turn against you or make them look at you in a bad light. But they're literally losers at the end of the day, so they don't really matter. The third reason why your silence will help you outsmart a manipulator is because your silence will literally destabilize their false sense of self. When toxic people are literally giving their all to hurt you, when they're literally giving their all to feel like they are somewhat superior to you, when you are silent and you don't retaliate, you literally start to destabilize them, because you're literally starving them out. When it comes to like narcissistic people, they literally thrive off of chaos and drama. And when you don't feed into that, they literally have no identity outside of that, because their whole identity and whole mission is to literally destroy you and your name. And an important thing to understand is that toxic people also thrive off of attention. So when you continue to feed into the drama and negativity that they're bringing into your life by defending yourself or trying to retaliate or doing whatever you feel is necessary to do, you keep giving them a reason to justify all of the things that they're doing to you. Not because you're actually doing something to them, but because they're projecting who they are onto you. So it doesn't matter what you do. If in their mind you're the person that they want to humble and they want to take down, you're always going to be somebody that's doing something to them. You're always going to be mean. You're always going to be selfish. And when you start to starve them out, you literally start to see that fake superiority, that fake complex, that fake sense of self start to crumble, because it was never real to begin with. All it was built on was tearing other people down and trying to humble people and trying to hurt people, because that's literally all that their identity is tied up in, bringing somebody else down, thriving in chaos. And when they don't have that, because you refuse to give it to them, they literally start to become crazy. They literally start becoming obsessed with you, because you're the person that they want attention from, but for some reason you're not giving it. And the reason they even do all of this stuff is because they're used to getting these reactions and this attention from other people. But because you, the person that they want to humble, the person that they want to take down, won't give it to them, they're going to do literally everything that they can to take you down. That's when you literally see them pull out all the tricks in their arsenal, but they still don't work. And then they get even more mad and even more obsessed and even more crazy. But it's like, you're literally just crazy at the end of the day, and I'm not doing anything to you. You look insane. And then depending on the type of person that you're dealing with, that's when they decide that they want to be cool with you. Then that's when you start seeing that weirdo fan behavior. And don't even get me started on that. We'll be here forever. But just know that when you start seeing these people act crazy and obsessed with you, when you start giving them silence and you don't react to them, it's only because their false sense of self is starting to destabilize, because you're no longer validating them in that way. And another way your silence helps protect yourself from a manipulator is because it helps you protect your peace, your energy, and your mental clarity. And the reason all of these things are important is because whenever you're in a very toxic situation, the last thing you need to be doing is giving all of your peace, energy, and time and mental capacity to these toxic people. Instead, you need to use all of that energy to pour into yourself, because the thing is, they're banking on you not leveling up. They're banking on you not standing up for yourself. They're banking on you not leaving. They're banking on you not understanding your worth and continuing to stay in instability and chaos. They're banking on you to do that. In order for you to get your life together, in order for you to get your head on straight, you need to be able to create a plan. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate plan, but a good enough and simple plan could just be you focusing on yourself and pouring all of your time into your work, into your career, your hobbies, the things that you love, and actually bettering yourself. That way you can get away from these people. And you'll never be able to heal in the same place that you were hurting at. So it doesn't matter how much time and energy you actually spend working on yourself. As long as you are around those people, you will never be able to thrive. And it's important for you to put all of your energy and time and mental capacity into the things that you love, because while you're doing this, people are still going to be trying to get reactions out of you. So now at this point, instead of doing the big, huge things towards you that'll get a huge reaction out of you, they'll start doing little small things to pick at you. And they call this plausible deniability. So what this means is they'll start doing small little things that when you bring it up or you call it out, they'll be able to say, no girl, I didn't mean it like that, or no girl, I wasn't actually doing that, or that didn't happen like that. And especially if it's in front of a group, when you call it out, these people will be like, well, they didn't do that to me, or I didn't see that happen, or no, she didn't really mean it like that. That's plausible deniability. They'll be able to do little things and get away with it because it doesn't really seem like it's a big deal on the surface, but deep down, like I said in the beginning, they know that that's a trigger for you. They know that that's an insecurity for you. It's kind of the same thing as like reactive abuse. When you see somebody start crashing out, the whole time they don't know that the person that was provoking them actually hit a trigger for that person, or they've continuously been doing things to that person. But now all of a sudden, all of the focus is on the person that's crashing out, when the person that provoked them, to be honest, is the actual problem. That's almost the same thing as plausible deniability. And your silence helps protect you from that, because when they don't get a reaction from the big things that they do from you, and they also don't get a reaction from the small things that they do, they literally have nothing else to go off of. And literally any small thing that they do will literally just be seen as petty. And people who are healthy enough to recognize it will see that as weird as well. And the funny thing about the plausible deniability is that these people literally spend all their time, peace, energy, and mental clarity trying to get a reaction out of you to do this one little small thing. And then they wonder why they don't have the greatest lives. They wonder why their lives reflect who they are on the inside. They don't feel happy with themselves. They hate who they see when they wake up and they look in the mirror. They hate their family. They hate their kids. Like all the things that I listed in the last video. They literally hate their lives. And I never care about these types of people because they're losing in their everyday life. This is the only type of way that they can find validation in themselves and in somebody else, because nobody else wants to be around them. No healthy, sane person wants to be around somebody who does stuff like this. And that's the only source of validation that they could ever get. And when you starve them of that validation and you put all of that energy into yourself, they're going to be mad because you're only going to go up from there. And the last way that your silence will help you outsmart a manipulator is because they see your silence as weakness. They see your silence as submission and compliance. And honestly, that's what we want them to think. We want them to underestimate us. We want them to think that we'll never get on our feet. We'll never have our mental health together. We'll never get our life together. We'll never have peace and clarity in our life. We'll never be able to have boundaries and protect our energy, or even that we'll even be able to leave these people. We want them to think that, because at the same time that you're putting all of your energy into bettering yourself, it literally starts to lure them out of that plausible deniability mask that I mentioned before. Because depending on the type of person that you're dealing with and the ego and false sense of superiority that they have, they'll literally either turn up the disrespect or they'll start to retreat. And either way it goes, that's when you finally start to see that person's true colors, and you don't have to do anything. And me personally, I've had experience with both sides. I've had experiences where the person actually decided to do more, and then there's times where they actually decided to retreat. And then the times where they actually decide to retreat, that's when you start to see that projection come back. Now all of a sudden that you're being quiet and you're not feeding into the drama and the chaos and giving them a reaction, now all of a sudden you're cold and you're up to something, and I think that you're gonna hurt me, or you must have a trick up your sleeve, or you're trying to use me. Whatever that person actually is, they start to project that onto you, because now they don't have a reason to keep doing the stuff that they are doing to you. And now they also don't know what it is that you're truly thinking. Then on the other side, when these people decide that they want to actually turn up the disrespect because they're so high on their ego trip and they're so high off of their false sense of superiority, and they see you as subservient and they think you have nowhere to go and you have no other options, all of a sudden when you start to succeed, it's the shock of their life, because they never actually thought that you would do it, because they literally spent their whole identity and all of their time and energy trying to sabotage you and make you fail. They wanted you to stay stuck. So when you get that degree, you move out, you move to a new state, you start doing all of the things that you wanted to do in your life, it's a shock to them. And it's always been so weird to me, because I don't know, even if I was a toxic person, I don't know how I could be around somebody that I know I did severely wrong and keep doing things to them even though that they're being quiet. I would actually be afraid of me if I know that I did me wrong. Because why aren't you giving me a reaction? You used to give me a reaction. You used to feed into the drama and the negativity, but why are you not now? I would actually be afraid. But these people don't ever think that you would do anything. These people think that you're being quiet because you're subservient. And honestly, that's what we want them to think. And this is the time where you actually put all of your time and your energy into getting out of these places. Work, relationships, school, whatever the case may be, because you matter more. Your mental health matters more. Your peace matters more. And your silence is the only way to achieve those things, okay? I'm running out of storage, y'all, so I gotta cut this video a little bit short. I'm so sorry. But if you found any value from the video, please leave a like or a comment down below. It really does help my channel out a lot to know that you like videos like these. Let me know what y'all thought in the comments. Go ahead and follow me on my Instagram right down below on the screen. And I will see y'all in my next video.